All right, guys, we're just waiting a second for everyone to get in here and get started. And I'm just testing the sound here. Okay, that's working. And if I do this, what do you see? Okay, that looks good. Does it? Get my glasses on. 17 notifications from my Mac, which is annoying, but that's just the way she goes. Move this thing around here without trying to make everyone too nauseous. Like that, and like that, and okay. Audio, visual, good. Thanks, man. Let's get some background music for myself just while I'm... So, our main goal here, as I'm trying to make this a bit of a tradition, is to do one of two things, right? First, we're going to go through the trades that we did on those short videos. So if you've noticed, I've been doing a lot of these. Hey, Mark. Doing a lot of these videos where I just take 60 seconds. Now, full disclosure, one of the reasons I started them was I saw this video on how they really hack YouTube, and I get a lot of feedback of how is no one watching your shit, which is nice when I hear it. It means that some people are getting value on it, but they're right, no one's watching it. So the game plan is to, figure out a way to make the algorithm like me a little better. So the main one is always, right, like everyone yells at you, hit like and subscribe and all that kind of stuff. But mainly it's these shorts, I guess YouTube's really liking, and I've gotten just amazing feedback. Everyone seems to like the very quick snap analysis of what we're what we're looking at and what I'm watching for tomorrow. So these longer term, so the plan is 5 of those a week, 1 each day, 1 longer educational video, the new indicators I'm doing, live trading, something like that, and then do a live stream once or twice a week where I just talk about those trades and how I traded them and how I manage the trades, everything like that, sorted out so that we can, kind of see, because I always want to show process instead of showing, just results, right? Because it's one of those things that I think process is the most important thing when it comes to trading and most things in life, because, especially with trading, it's so probabilistic. You can just, I always say I can walk in tomorrow, I can smash my face really hard on my keyboard, and I could make $100,000. That doesn't mean it was a good idea, right? So I always focus on kind of process to say what's kind of going from there. So let me just tweet out just to my 7 Twitter followers that I am live. And then what we're going to do after that, we're going to go over my thoughts of the market for what's going on now, what's going to happen next week, like those wrap-up videos I used to do, but just live. And then we're going to do some scanning where we talk about kind of what I'm thinking to put together for Monday's trading and next week's trading. And then from there, it will be what I'm going to... So you guys will see what that short video or whatever for today will happen, and then I'll turn the stream off and I'll record that, and away we go. So ideally, hour-ish, give or take. It's actually pretty nice out, so I don't want to spend too much time in the office, but you guys know I'm a quantitative algorithmic trader, so this is kind of all of the work that I need to do for my trading each week, is just to make sure that that's that all that's kind of focused up, right? So let's first see what I called out this week and how that worked. We'll go to youtube.com/Bonpara and see what were the views this week. And we'll go to my videos. And okay, so starting with ESI. What's ESI for? And let me rearrange this screen a little bit just so it makes things easier for you guys to see, make everything bigger. Move that over, and then we'll just focus kind of entirely on this. Like that. I just find it easier to go through the video so I can see exactly how it looked when I was making that video. So we would have done this. Let me go. If I do this, can you guys see these lines? Should be able to. Yes. Okay, perfect. Yeah, so we were watching ESI kind of right in this area for a move higher. You know, the market obviously, we'll go through that in a second, but the market obviously was insane this week, right? With this kind of broadening type bottom. Really, I was doing some trolling on Friday that we closed up and everyone was losing their mind. And we'll talk about that as well. But that's why a lot of these longs are going to be a bit choppy. And same with this one. So ESI, I remember I did not take because it had gapped over my entry. So I wasn't too interested in it. It looks like it could have been good for a day trade or so, but that would have been about it. Couple of these I took. So like Fossil was the next one. And we were talking about Fossil right in this area right here. I actually did get involved in Fossil right in that area, kind of right in here. And my stop loss is kind of right under here. So we came really, really close on Friday to stopping me out. Turned and closed higher. So still the picture kind of remains. What I was looking at here was this downtrend line and then followed by this, right? So you've got a kind of a descending triangle here. Anyone who's followed me for any length of time, I actually like to take these triangles differently than most people. You know, most people are going to look for a breakdown here. I like to look for the sloping downtrend to break. I just find the beauty of it is your risk reward is so good. So for example, if you got involved in Fossil here and you were seeing the same thing I was with this descending triangle, you know, you can see that the risk of this is very, very tiny. And then the potential reward is huge, right? And I'm one of those that, you know, you're not going to hear me say I'm right all the time or anything. My win rate is probably a little better than 50-50. But I focus all on risk. So that's kind of what I'm looking at there. So still in Fossil, won't be for long, right? Because of this, right? So March 10th is earnings. So that gives us open calendar, right? So, right, we've got Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. So by the end of Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, we got to be out. It's post-market on March 10th, so I've got to be out before then. I don't gamble holding stuff into earnings like that. It's just not worth it. So basically, you know, just to follow this trade with me, if we break down under here, I'm out. If we, you know, pop up here, I'll probably be out. But anyway, I'll be out by Wednesday at the close. I just think there's just no point. Next is Pgen. Pgen's the same kind of look for me anyway. We've got this downtrend. So first, overall massive uptrend, pull back in that downtrend, and you could call this, you know, an inverse head and shoulders here. I look at it a little bit more just kind of like this same type of descending triangle, right? Where we're chopping. We've got this area of support at the bottom and up at the top. No trade on this yet. Didn't really do anything. The video I looked at, I was right at this candle. So you can see we haven't done anything yet. But to be honest, I still like it. So we've got earnings already out of the way at March 1st. We've got a 25% short float. And I still like this action. Now, This is something that I think is important for everyone to kind of pay attention to here, is look at the topping tails and bottoming tails on all of these. It's a pretty sloppy trader, right? It's not a very smooth, it's a bit smooth here, but even then after that, it's a pretty choppy trader. So just knowing that, right, it's always good to go and look back at how the stock normally trades. When you see these topping tails and this choppiness, it's just kind of telling you that there's a bit of indecision. Sometimes it's indicative to low volume, but this one, it's not the case this time. It's about, 1 million shares or so a day, so there's plenty of volume. It's just kind of sloppy. So what that tells me is that if we do break out here and I get involved, that just to trade it a little bit smaller and just back off a little bit more, because it's going to do a lot of this, bullshit while it trades. So, right, just back off and put your stop loss out, maybe take a little bit less shares and make it a little bit looser to stop getting whipsawed, but just step back and just let it chop and churn if it's going to do that. Okay, so GME, again, full disclosure, I'm still in GME. I'm originally involved in GME actually down here. When I saw these kind of 1, 2, 3 spinning tops right here, I put a buy stop order over this candle. This candle right here. So I got involved, and my original price was around 44-ish, I think. Sold out most as it kind of popped and then gapped up the next day. When we dipped down in here and we filled the gap and started to move higher, I actually bought some more. So my average price now, I think, is like 78-ish, kind of in this area. So again, the full disclosure about that, but mainly what I was looking at in GME was this tightening action that was happening here. And we did get a spike above that the prior day. It didn't last very long, so I didn't end up adding. And we got another spike the other day, and that didn't end up very well either. So I'm kind of concerned about, these. Where's this thing? Yeah. So I'm kind of worried about these topping tails up here, right? There's a big resistance up in this 150 area, so that's where I'm going to keep an eye on GME. If we get over 150 and hold, then shorts could be scared again. But so far, what's happening is on every single pop up here, something's getting kind of reversed as well. So I see your question there, and I'll get to questions in a bit. I'm just going to finish going through this and then going through my thoughts on the market, and then we'll go from there. Is my keyboard being an arse? Is that what's going on here? No. Go away. All right, so last was IRM. So IRM was basically looking at this sideways chop and looking at the relative strength when we go over the market in a bit. Especially during this period, the market was just selling dramatically, and this was holding up. So my theory was, and always is, when markets are selling, look for what's not. Look for where the strength is relative to anything else. And IRM was showing great relative strength. It was actually still holding above its short-term moving average and above its long-term. So I got involved in some IRM over that day's high. So I'm still in some here. But yeah, so I picked some up there, and that was a good one as well. So far, everything, considering the market and how crazy the market was, everything has been going great with these shorts, and I'm glad that at least the ones that I'm showing you guys show some promise. Yeah, I want Trend Spider. I'm going to do some of my scanning here with Trend Spider. Just really, really like their charts. And they're alerting. So I'm just going to link these guys up. I know it's already in use. It's on my other computer. Let me in. We'll just do that one then. Oops. So far those have gone great, and I'll continue to do those daily. Again, the game plan is to run here for about an hour, give or take, and then by the end of that hour, I'll know what I'm going to make that short video about, and I'll make that right after this this stream, so that everyone else who didn't get a chance to attend can go through and get all that kind of sorted. Oops, sidebar, get rid of, and then let's link these guys. External linking, add link, and make it Trend Spider. Okay, and there we go. All right, so those two programs are linked now, and perfect. Perfect. Okay, so that's what we were looking at for last week. Again, I think I got involved in 2 of them. APLS was another one from actually last week that I actually got involved in. APLS. So we talked about this last week. I had gotten in some APLS here, and I actually gotten back out there for a small loss. But then I got re-involved here as we broke over these 2 dojis. So far that's looking good, but it was looking good here. I think what happened on this is I think I scalped out some, but then got stopped on the rest. So basically flat to, we'll call that it didn't work for sure last time. But I still like just the fact that this thing is so strong, and it's pulled back to this kind of breakout area where it's found support, and it's been kind of just consolidating here. So there's also, if we go APLS, 15% short float on that, and earnings is out of the way, which is something I always work out. Which scans are you using on the left hand, on the right hand side? Oh, this one here. So this is what we're going to go through next. So this is my this scan here is just my Etf scan. So I go through each of these every day, week, and month and year, and kind of check that out, right? So for example, we're going to go weekly, and we're going to take a look at the ones you can sort these by whatever you want, relative volume, total volume, position range, things like that. I like to look at some of these on weekly on relative volume, just to show me what actually happened this week, right? So we can look at XLK, which is the tech fund. You can see this one kind of got hit the most, but really, right, we closed last week here, and then we closed this week right there. So again, everyone losing their mind, right? Amen. For no reason, I think. IBB is interesting, right? So these are the biotechs, and you can see with the biotechs here, we've gotten a bit of a sell, but if you look, right, we've got resistance here and resistance here that may become support here. So I've got my eyes on this for sure. Oh. Oh, this? Yeah, this is volume profile. So it's something that TrendSpider has. I hope we build into Trade Ideas soon. But essentially, the theory behind these bars here is, instead of looking at volume by time, saying, okay, how much volume was done at this day, how much volume was done this day, how much volume was done this day, this is volume by price. So it shows that, in this 135 area, right, from 140 to 130, there was a bunch of volume done. There was a lot of trades and congestions going on there. And what that's doing is that's just showing where are the participants, which is really all we want to know, is where are people involved. Where are everyone, where are the buyers, where are the sellers, are they hurt, are they doing well, right? In this case, you can see most of the buyers down here are still doing fine. So this is why I'm kind of watching this for just to see if we kind of hold this area that I was putting in. So I'll draw it like this. My drawing tool is being a bit finicky. But right, so we have this prior resistance here and here, potentially being support here for biotechs. Big one I wanted to look at and show you guys on the weekly chart was the SPY. Right, so this is the overall market, and remember all of the panic that you saw on last week, and we closed the week higher, right? So the reason that I zoom out and look at weekly charts and everything, I got from JC at All Star, but it's really kind of a forest for the trees type of thing, in which, everyone's panicking during this week about this sell-off. But even if we closed right at the lows, we're just in line with what this last sell-off was. Healthy markets do this all the time. Up, down, up. We haven't gotten it down in a while, right? So, even say we pull back to here, that's just still a healthy market, an overall long-term uptrend, right? So I'm not really, I'm not really worried about anything until I get a reason to be worried about anything. Just heard a lot of traders scared, going cash, blah, blah, and to each your own. But I just haven't seen the bear case yet. And speaking of not seeing the bear case, here's oil services. You can see over the last couple months, just rocketing, and room to go for sure, right? We can for sure start rocketing this thing higher again. This may change tomorrow, but for now everything's looking pretty strong when it comes to all these sectors that I'm looking at. So now if we zoom into a daily chart and we go through kind of one at a time here, what you can see. So if you take a look at this position and range filter, you can see what's doing well and what's doing awfully. So really what I think the scariness is right now is this tan filter, right? Everyone's losing their mind, but that's because everybody's been so deep into the EV game, the solar game, the this, that, the other thing, that they've just missed that solar has been selling pretty dramatically, right? Where if we look at USO, that's a good one. I'll create a station off that. I always got my iPad here for music, right? And then we look at oil, right? It's moved. So, the question is really, are we really having a sell-off? Are we really having this dramatic broad market panic, fear, run for the hills? Or are we just rotating from sector to sector, right? Are we just moving from clean, green energies and all of these things into dirtier energies, coals? XLE is just a kind of an energy type of fund, totally. Let's actually bring up Koifin. Here's another great. Do I even have keychain? Let me quickly make sure that gets out of there. So Koifin, if you guys don't know, no affiliation, no relationship, but they're a great advanced, I guess, analysis tools. I don't use Koifin for trading. I don't use it for actual charting or anything like that. But what I do use Koifin for, and what I like, is copy password. What I do use it for is I use it for analysis of things and breakdowns of what's in a sector. Yeah, fine. Maybe later. So if we go and we look at US sectors, this is something that I shared here on Twitter. You can see this is a real breakdown of everything that's happened, right? So each of these is the different sector breakdown, and let's do year to date on them. All right, you can see where money is going into and where money is going out of. XLF, so we have financials, we have communications with XLC, right? We've got energy with XLF, where if we say where is money going out of, well, if you look at XLV, right, that's turned negative. If we look at technology and XLK, that's turned negative. So is the market actually, you got to remember that the market and the SPY is just a collection of securities. So what is the weight of the sectors? And really, when it comes to the SPY, it's weighted way less than most things, right? When it comes to the things that are doing well, which is energy right now. Holdings. So if I go into SPY and I go into holdings, this is going to tell me everything that's inside the SPY when it loads. I got my pre-workout here. So if you want to know how long I'm going to go, it's whenever my pre-workout runs out and I start talking really, really quick. Right, so if we look at the sectors and the weight of the sectors in the S&P 500, we have a lot of information technology. We have a lot of healthcare. If we go down to energy, it's only 3%, right? Where is financials? Financials is going to be higher, 11%, right? So, these things are, again, it's important to understand that just because the stuff you're owning is crashing doesn't mean the market is crashing, right? It just means go look somewhere else, right? And you can see if I go year to date, most of these things change. You can see information technology, consumer discretionary getting hammered, financials up big, and energy up huge. But it's just such a small percent of the market, right? This was helpful on your Twitter. Look into Koifin. Yeah, look into Koifin. If you end up signing up, if there's some way to say who sent them, tell them I sent you. I'd love to become closer buds with these guys. Again, we talk about this a lot when I took my CMT, which I have to figure out how to change my YouTube name from Bonpar. It's time to kill that. It's time for just Michael Noss CMT. I just don't know how. But yeah, Koifin's a great little, they've got news. So far, I haven't run into anything that they say pay me for. So I don't know how they're going to make any money. But when it comes to things like this, comparisons, I really, really like Koifin. I like Koifin when it comes to, I want to find out the world, right? What's going on in different places of the world, right? I can say, here's the Americas and how each are doing. You can see NASDAQ comp's doing the best, right? If we change this to year to date, everything's going to change, right? Brazil's having issues. Canada's doing well. The S&P TSX, which makes sense because Canada is just oil and financials, and those are the things that are tanking up. So, again, the whole reason for all of this is I think this is a hugely important thing that not a lot of traders do, and it's not really sexy to talk about in any way, in which, you got to come in and you've got to kind of build a plan, like what is actually going on in the market. And watching CNBC and going on FinTwit where all the people are like, oh, the world's going to end. And then, you've got the friggin' end of the world QAnon, flat earth, 5G, crazy people. And it's very easy to get kind of lost in narratives, right? So just doing something simple like what I'm doing now, where you go in, you say, okay, what sectors are working and what sectors aren't? And then you go in and run actual analysis on those sectors. Like if we look at XLF, which we were just talking about, XLF looks really interesting to me here, in which if we zoom way, way back, right, you can see we've gotten over where we were before the pandemic right here, right? That was what, 30-ish, right? We're about 10% above that. So we've got a lot of headroom there. And then over the last few weeks, if we look at how this has been congesting and we compare this to, let's go back to the SPY, you can really see the relative strength. And this is something I kind of harp on if anyone gets to any of the webinars that I do in. I'm on this, relative strength world tour, I like to call it, where I'm trying to preach this way of trading. Is look at what's strong. Like, look at what's holding. This line here, too, is actually an anchored VWAP from this low. If you don't know what anchored VWAP is, I would butcher it. I have a video on the channel. I almost kind of feel bad talking about it with... copy this. You can take a look at that. With Brian Shannon being who he is, right? I would suggest going and checking out his stuff because he's kind of the master. But basically what this says is from this low right here, the average market participant is right here. It's right at 370. And we got really, really close to it. And then we just bounced right off it entirely. If I take off pre-market, does that change it? Yeah. So we got even closer if you take off pre-market. So again, there's some damage done here. But what I just want to impart to everyone is just don't panic, right? Yes, there was some damage done here, but, right, look at all that. We could come down to this support area, and that's a long way down, and testing the support would still be considered healthy, right? Quote unquote. Remove this rectangle. So that's about it for the market, right? So it seems that, what you want to be focusing on is value. and right, I hate the growth, value, blah, 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 because if value is going up, then isn't it growth? And if growth is just holding strong and paying dividends and stuff, isn't it then value? Like, it just doesn't, I don't really like the terminology, but think of like the old boring shit, right? XLF, XLE, XL, what's the retail? XRT? Is that retail? Yeah, retail, ETF, same thing, right? Retail is doing okay compared to the rest. Took a little crazy. You got to remember retail, this particular ETF is heavily influenced by the GameStop bullshit. But still, relatively speaking, it's doing way better than the market. So it's the shift, right? You got to understand that money, how hippy dippy do I want to get with you guys? How many people are here? Only 16. So it's not many. Go tell your friends, get them in here. And I'll try to be done being a hippie before this is done. But so there's this whole thing with physics that I think parallels very well to the markets, and that's that energy cannot be created or destroyed. It's just transformed, right? Kinetic energy turns to thermal energy, turns to, right? So it's, there's a law, someone will know it. But again, the concept is if I apply energy to something, I'm just transferring that energy into something else, right? Again, movement can become heat, and heat becomes light, and blah, 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 blah. It's the same with the market, right? You have to think of you as a trader. You never buy or sell anything. You just change money from one thing to the other, right? So if you sell a stock, you're buying cash. If you buy a stock, you're selling cash, right? If you're buying Bitcoin, you're turning it from cash to Bitcoin, right? There is no selling or buying or, market crashing or market rising. It's a flow thing, right? And it's even more important when you think of it in terms of large institutions, large investors, and these kind of things. A lot of these guys have mandates that they have to be involved in the market. if you're a pension fund, if you're a mutual fund, some hedge funds, you're not allowed to just go, okay, I made my 20% of the year, I beat the market, I'm going to sell everything and go to cash and go, get drunk at the pub for the rest of the year. You're just not allowed. You have to be X invested in the market at any given time. So whenever, again, you're seeing, oh my God, everything's going crazy, it's the end of the world, you have to then go look at where is the money actually going. And this is why, again, a scan like this and trade ideas will help out dramatically. This kind of thing in CoiFin will work out dramatically, because you have to understand that you as a trader, the thing that you have as an advantage over hedge funds and institutions and prop firms and banks and brokers and all this stuff is that you're nimble, right? There's no reason why you have to be in the Teslas anymore, right? There's the Teslas, the rockets, these high flyer EV names, right? Neo. These things worked for a very, very long time, and people made a crap ton of money doing it. The people who are going to get murdered are the people who keep going back to this well while it doesn't work. Now, is there going to be maybe a time in the future where maybe some fundamental change happens, or maybe it's regulatory, political, who knows, right? We just follow the charts, but something flops and changes, in which now it's time to change what you're doing. And you can go, okay, now I want to then go and go from boring stuff into not boring stuff. So, for example, the flock to gold thing, it's not working, right? If you've been invested in gold for almost any period of time, you're getting hammered. Now, gold's kind of interesting because we're getting back to this area of congestion here. So that may be interesting, but it's just not the place. Same with TLT, right? Because bond yields are going up, so bond prices are going down, just the nature of it. But so look for where strength is, right? If there's anything I could give you, it's that where's the money flowing into? That's the stuff that's strong. Where's the money flowing out of? Get the hell out of those things. So again, think of boring stuff for this, right? Think of, right, Costco, right? Mart. Oh, geez, never mind. That's a bad one. That's getting smoked. Walmart, right? Holding on okay. Exxon, right? Old school kind of Chevron, right? Exxon's doing great. CVX, Chevron's probably killing it, right? So again, just flop from place to place to place to place. So is that scan in the trader's vault? Maybe. Don't marry the stock, just date it for a bit. Exactly. And don't marry a sector or an idea. Just deal with it for a bit. The problem, so this volume leaders thing, this works because of a symbol list that I have in the background that I made. I can share this. How is this going to paste through? It's going to paste through pretty shitty. If you're okay with putting the spaces in yourself, you can do that. But what you can do, and how I built this, is you can create a symbol list. And then in that symbol list, so I just called this one ETFs, I just put in all these symbols here. And then I went into the actual scan itself, and I just told it to take a look at that symbol list. So you can see I click on ETF under the symbol list tabs, and I click only the following lists, and away you go. Right? Where now it's only sorting by this list, and then I can sort it by things like the position in the range. I could bring up change in 5-day or 10-day or 20-day, and I can sort them all by this, so I can get a pretty good and quick understanding of where things are going and why. So that is what happened last week, and that's my synopsis of the market. Just again, we're seeing a rotation, and we're generally seeing a rotation. Now, usually what had happened in the past is when markets become shitty the way they were, they rotate into bonds or they rotate into gold or something like that. But it's just not happening this time. They're rotating into energy. They're rotating into utilities, into things that pay dividends, right? Because interest rates are so low, you can't get them anywhere else. Away we go. Can't you copy the sectors and subsectors from Koyfin? Yeah, you certainly could, Sam. You could just go through and say, I just want to grab U.S. sectors. You could just copy in all these names if you just wanted the overall sectors, right? So XLE, XLF. I would add the Qs, IWM, and the SPY to this list. But yeah, there's nothing wrong with going through and doing this. And you can actually, right, you can still bring, if you wanted to, right, you could scan them using this. I just like having them all there in trade ideas so I can just click through them super, super easily. So now all we do is we want to see what we're going to watch next week. What's the trade going to happen? And going top lists. Let's do this one. So this is a version of the A table that I took from Steve and Andy. And I like to scan with this. And then I also like to scan with this one, which I can't share with you, unfortunately, because there's a whole bunch of customs in it. But we're going to go through these two lists, and we're going to build our watch list for... Monday. I'm going to figure out what's going on, what scan, what I'm watching. I can use both the Trend Spider price alerts. I can use the Trade Ideas price alerts. And actually, to use the Trade Ideas price alerts, I got to get off the test server where I'm testing some super cool shit that you guys are going to be getting soon. New products, new whatever. Oh, also, Barry has a scan on his page for sector ETF. Oh, cool. So Sam, Tony, just check out what Sam wrote there. That I didn't know he had that, but that's a good idea. Now that you mention it, I remember that he does do he wants to see what's going. It's a very common thing, right, in trading. It's our job, right? What's that fish that like holds on to the whale and just uses the whale for like transportation and food and stuff? That's what you are as a trader. That's what we all are as traders. Is we just want to find out where's the money flowing, hop in, hold on, wait till it stops flowing in that direction, get out, move on to the next thing. So this A table 2.0, this basically is, so Steve and Andy have a scan called the A table, which basically just looks for the highest ranked stocks with score. The product that we're going to release soon with Trade Ideas, which for anyone who's a current subscriber in Trade Ideas, you're going to see a new channel pop up and you're going to be able to get it there. Suckerfish, yeah, that's what we are, right? Just and it's one of those things. As soon as you get zen with that, the better. The traders that I see getting themselves in trouble are the ones that are like trying to make something happen. They're like, I'm gonna buy this stock and talk about this stock and try to pump it and here's all the reasons why I'm right and the market's wrong, but that's just not what we should do. What we should do is say, what are people buying? What is your edge as a trader over a giant hedge fund that has, an army of quants that are using, the biggest machine learning, AI, neural network stuff. And, they've got a whole bunch of CFAs and a whole bunch of CMTs, and they've got all these guys running all these analysis. How are you going to beat that? Well, you're going to beat that because you're small. Again, I don't care if there's someone in here with a $5 million account. You are tiny compared to these guys. You're minuscule, which is great. You just want to get swept up, in their wake as things go. So anyway, back to this A table. So we have this thing called the score, in which it ranks stocks by technical data, statistical data, fundamental data, and social data. And it just says, okay, if all of these things are strong, give this a tick up. If all of them are weak, give it a tick down. Just that simple, right? That's all there is to it. Just plugging some things in here, making sure my iPad's charged. So what this particular scan looks for is it looks for stocks that are, where is it? Short float. So stocks that are heavily shorted, but they also have fairly high ranking. So basically means these stocks are heavily shorted. Also, they're wrong, right? So you don't just want to pick stocks that are heavily shorted, because if the company that's shorting them is right, then they're just going to continue to make money and continue to hammer the stock into oblivion. So I want to find stocks that are both really, really shorted and are in an uptrend. So that's what you're going to find with this scan. And I think if anyone's interested, there's no customs in this one, so I can give this one out to you guys. Again, Steve and Andy from Trade Ideas should get credit for this one. I just took it and I kind of made it my own. I made some additions to it where I just don't want to see stocks that are, rocketing higher. I don't know what happened to my drawing tool. Let me see. I'm going to restart it. I'm going to quit this. Presentify. No, okay, it's just being an asshole. That's fine. What social filters do you use now that StockTwit's gone? So we're looking to build some more in. For now, we're using the Buzz and the Moon ETF. And I can pin these. Pin and pin and pin, so they won't move. So if you look on your channel bar, you should see this new one. I should make a video about this. What do you guys think? So this is the Buzz and the Moon ETF. So if you missed it, that the Portnoy dude, he partnered with these Buzz people. And basically what it does is they have an algorithm that looks for the most talked about stocks on all of the internet. And then it actually uses an algorithm to create positive or negative sentiment. And that's what you kind of see right here and all this buzzworthy and buzzing around. Basically, this is going to be updated monthly when that algorithm changes. And then this is updated. This is the Moon ETF, which is the same concept, but whereas Buzz is mega cap, Moon is micro cap. So that's what this is. So basically what we're doing for our new social ones is we're saying, is it in these either of these scans, right? Is it in Buzz or Moon for now? But we're planning on building in our own now that, we've had that little faux pas, I guess is a way to put it, with StockTwit. So let me close all this down, just get it out of the way. But yeah, that's mainly what we're using for social. So we're going to go and basically, again, we're looking for stocks that are highly ranked, heavily shorted, and then we're going to look for technical patterns, chart patterns, that type of thing. We're going to bang through a couple of these. I'm going to find a handful of things to add to. Let's actually do, we're going to load, we're going to do my liked. Because basically what I do is I add all these to my liked, and then I plug my liked into Trade Ideas Brokerage Plus. So anything that you see me add to this has the potential to be auto-traded Monday or onwards. So what I do, and this is just how I trade if you guys are interested, is I basically get new, and I want another chart. I am an auto trader by nature. I trade. I found that my edge in the market is what I'm doing right now. It's the analysis. It's the trying to figure out, what's working when, what patterns are working, and things like this. What I am bad at is actual, like, in the moment execution. So what I do is I basically plug anything that you're seeing on this list, or anything that you're seeing with a heart right up here in trade ideas, is something that I've put on this list and says, hey, I want the robot to trade this stock if XYZ type things occur. And it's usually, a break of daily resistance. I'll move these to different lists depending on what I'm interested in. But basically, yeah, so I come up with this list and then I just feed stocks into it. And then I point my robot at it and say, hey, if something like this is looking interesting, then we're going to go from there, right? So I'm basically, when I'm done here, I'm done. It's the robot will either trade it or it won't. I very rarely will step in and take a trade that maybe I see that it doesn't. But at this point, when I'm done my scanning, I just will connect my Interactive Brokers account to trade ideas, and I'll just wait until something pops into my blotter. If it does, great. If not, that's fine as well. So we just cleaned up my liked list. So we'll put this. So again, we're going to go through. I already have PLC on it. What I'll say is I don't like about PLC is the earnings here. So we have earnings on the 9th. That's not really enough time. So if it doesn't do anything Monday, I'm not going to be interested. Bed Bath & Beyond is also interesting here too. We've got this nice base that going on here. We're pulling back, but again, we always got to remember what the SPY looked like over the last few days, and it seems to be holding better than the SPY. So I'm going to add this one as well. And I'll go through until we get to kind of in the 15% short float area, and that's when I'll stop. Ruby, not interested, right? Just too much, too fast. I've added 5-day range to the A table, which shows me a tight formation range of candle. Oh, that's cool. Edit TDoc. So that's what, so Sam, I would watch both Edit and TDoc and be careful. Just because what we talked about earlier with the rotation, right? A lot of these pandemic type stocks, you got to be worried about. That being said, I'm in Edit. I actually bought some Edit actually on Friday. I think I tweeted about that, right? If you're not following me on Twitter, you should. You'll get no politics ever. Very little trolling. I very much try not to. Mostly trading, sometimes dogs is basically my Twitter. Yeah, I did. Right here. So yeah, so I actually bought some Edit because this was the 200-day moving average right here. So I'm looking to see if we take a bounce. But again, be very, very careful with these things because of the rotation we're seeing. They may be an issue coming up. So I'm very defensive on any pandemic kind of name. So what I'm looking for is I'm looking for stocks that in my head, also right above you here, I have what the SPY looks like. Let me actually bring down this. I just need to make sure every time I bring something into the screen that there's not anything that's going to get me in any trouble. Let's do this one. So on my other screen that you guys aren't seeing, I have I always just have this, right? Which is just, right, this is the SPY, this is the market, just another big chart of this. And basically what I'm doing is I'm comparing a lot of these things to what the SPY was doing, and I'm looking for relative strength and relative weakness when it comes to these kind of things. Yeah, Sam, if you have a fundamental story, have fun. It's just not my thing. I'm in and out, right? I want to get in, I want to make my money, I want to get the hell out. I want to then be able to rotate that into the next and into the next and into the next. So I don't look at, again, I think they actually take my CMT away if I start talking about fundamentals. I'm joking, of course, but ELY is interesting here. 18% short float. It's kind of holding. So if I draw, so here's a little bit of resistance that I see. We're going to go a little longer than an hour. Maybe we'll go an hour and a half. We'll see if I get yelled at. And then the support that's happening here. So I'm looking to see if this thing's going to break. So I'm going to add that to the list. And I'll tweet about all of these, during some BS reality show type stuff that we'll be watching tonight, I'm sure. So Angie, another one that's interesting. So Angie's List, we don't have that in Canada, I don't think, but that's like a reviewing for people working on your house, right? Yeah, so it's like a gig worker kind of a thing, right? So yeah, so I'm going to add Angie here as well. Again, you can see kind of the tightening pattern that's happening. Earnings date, I don't have one for it. So when is Angie actually? Angie earnings date. What's the significance in the open versus close column? Yeah, this I think is a custom that, so I've got like 4 trade ideas accounts. So I think if you move a scan from one account to the other and the custom formula is different, it will just keep whatever the number is. So I think basically more or less ignore that, I guess, the way to do it. March 6th, 2020 for Angie. 2021, where is March 2021? Contractor reviews. Okay. If anyone knows when Angie reports earnings, let me know. Because I like the look of that one, but Cheesecake Factory, another thing we don't have in Canada. Or not Chipotle. Last time I was in New York, I had Chick-fil-A for the first time. That was friggin' delicious. CLNY, nah. All right, so now we're under where it's like 15% short float stuff. So, RRC looks good again, but I got burnt on this one a little bit recently. And by burnt, I just mean I had a trade that didn't work out. I bought RRC as we broke out of this triangle last time. And then I was greedy and I didn't sell any, which is obviously my fault. We came back in and I got stopped out for a little bit worse than break even. Now it looks like we're coiling back up. So I'm going to add this one back. Earnings is out of the way, 13% short float. Interesting. But all right, now for this scan. Again, unfortunately, I can't share this one because it's very, very customed. There's like 7 customs in it. Mac, this looks really interesting to me. I actually bought Mac at $13.50 a couple days ago. I sold out most on this pop, and then I got stopped out the rest for a loss. So that was a flat trade. But if we get over yesterday's high, maybe it'll be interesting to get back in. Pgen, we just talked about. I talked about how I liked Pgen. If we kind of get back over here again, I had readjusted these. Actually, let's remove all annotations. This is another way if you guys want to add charts. If you are a trend spider person, you can click trends and it will auto draw these lines. And then you can just double click on the ones you want to keep and then turn trends back off. And you see the line that it kept there. So I would agree with that. I would also say that there's another interesting line kind of right in this area that I would watch. But mainly I'm looking at this kind of high volume node that you can see here. So you can see there's a whole bunch of volume done in this 850 area. So above 850, maybe we ramp to 11. Right, stop would be 8, right? So you're risking 50 cents to make $3. That's all I do, right? Again, I'm never going to be bragging about my win rate. That's not me. All I do is try to get asymmetric risk reward. So I'm going to add this one. But again, we already talked about how I like that. It's probably a good time to actually because I am a TrendSpider affiliate as well, full disclosure, which means if you're interested and you click on that and you take their free trial and then you buy it, they'll pay me. And as always, Trade Ideas is could not live without all of my scanning, all of my trading. It's nice to have cool charts with TrendSpider, but I could live without, but I couldn't live without Trade Ideas. Well, that's a bit dramatic. I'm sure I would figure out something, but it would definitely create a lot more work into my life. So the moral of this scan, it's basically like how Brett and Sam or Tony, Brett and Tony were talking about how they're looking for like a tight 5-day range, but then in a wider range. That's kind of the same thing here. So it's looking for stocks that are congesting after generally big moves. And it's looking for stocks that are close to the top end of whatever that congestion is. Theory being, if you can get a pop out of that, it would be interesting. So WNC we'll add. Again, I like the tightening here. We're above the high volume node kind of area that we see here, so we could continue to push up if we break this. 9% short float. It's okay. Short float isn't everything. H&R Block. See, this looks nice, but we've got earnings on the 9th, which is, I think, Tuesday. So there's just not enough. I'm always looking for like 3 days to a week as well. Look at the raindrops. So yeah, what I usually do is I use raindrops after, and I'll show you this. So step 1, we're going to hammer through this list. We're going to add everything on that's interesting to us. Step 2, we're going to go back through the list that we've added, and we're going to really analyze those. And I'm going to pick like the top, because I don't want to have like 30 things on my list. I want to narrow it down, and I use raindrops in that filtering kind of time, which it looks like we're about to be getting close to, because none of this looks nearly as interesting to me as, which is fine. I think I've got enough on the list. Yeah, so now that we're done this, we're going to go out here, and then we're going to go into raindrops. And if you don't know what Raindrop Chart is, this is kind of TrendSpider's thing, right? This is like kind of patented by them. Quick overview. What do we got? 15. We got my homies. That's about it. So basically, if we look at this one here, for example, basically what it means is that it separates it into 2 parts of the day. So the one on the left is the first half of the day, and the part on the right is the second half of the day. And the bump that comes out is where the volume was done. So for example, on CXW here, you can see that there's a lot of volume done up here around 850 at the beginning half of the day, and a lot of volume done here around 820 in the second half of the day. Now, I don't know how it's coming out on screen, but there is 2 little lines that are coming out, right? Like this one here, that's a doji. That's the point of control. So that's where the highest volume occurred on each one as well. So think of it as a chart as opposed to, I guess, just to simplify, instead of focusing on high, low, open, close, it's focusing on volume, right? And saying, where is the volume taking place? And sometimes you can see things using these volume charts that you couldn't quite see otherwise. And sometimes you can't, right? It's just like anything. But, it should be like anything else, one piece in an analysis that, has multi layers, weight of the evidence approach. So then what I'm doing is I'm going through this list and I'm trying to figure out what do I really like. And what I really like will go on the chart will go in that short video. And it will also be what I focus on when I'm doing my trading tomorrow. So ELY here, pretty much consistent volume throughout the day. So what I'm looking for is I'm looking to see, is there something unusual that I wouldn't notice in regular charts? And so far for these ones, I haven't, nothing's reached out and slapped me. Fizz is kind of interesting. So Fizz is probably what I like the best, but it has earnings coming out soon. Fizz, if we look here on the weekly chart here from Trade Ideas, big strong push up, came right back down to the breakout area, is put in kind of three sideways candles. If we look here on the intraday or the daily chart, we've had this slow push down. Notice how the candles are getting smaller and smaller as we're getting closer and closer, right? This is showing me that the momentum's kind of dying as well. If we take a look here, you can see a lot of this volume is done below us and not a lot of volume above us, which again, to me just means there's support below, but not quite above. Let's actually can we do this? Yeah. Right, so we'll add an anchor VWAP from the top here, and then we'll add an anchored VWAP from what we define as a breakout, probably right here. And again, very subjective, these things. Brian would know better. Can I not? Oh, well, that's fine. So it basically means that the average participant from this up move is here around $60. So it means that we could come 54, we could get to 62 or something, and that would be a pretty decent price target. Our stop would be maybe $2 away. When it comes to the raindrops, you can see late in the day on Friday, most of the volume occurred, which seemed to be more volume than the open, occurred above this resistance area right here. So I think Fizz is going to be our one. I just need to make sure I note to everybody that the earnings are coming out soon, so make sure you're the hell out of there. Beyond Meat, this is kind of just a dip and rip play, right? I'm interested in this, but it would be maybe a long here and then out a day or two later. Yeah, I certainly don't like holding any counter trend kind of moves that I make. And we'll do PLC, which is another one I'm interested in. And again, this is interesting as well, where you see most of the volume is occurring kind of right at or above this area. Again, we've got pre-market on the 9th. Oh, pre-market on the 9th. So yeah, so this could only be a day trade. So I'm actually going to remove that from the list. Really nothing from Angie. What about Pgen? I really like the potential of Pgen just because of the short float. Really nothing there. iRobot, a little bit expensive for some people, but I don't really look at the price. And Bed Bath & Beyond. So no, I think it's going to be Fizz. I think Fizz is going to be our ticket. It's going to be our trade for tomorrow. It's going to be the one that I'll focus on heavily, but earnings, right? Earnings are annoying. Right, so again, the theory behind here is just, I've heard it called, one of my old trading mentors actually called it the two-timing bastard. So we had this breakout here, and if you look, this resistance here and then here, and then if we draw a horizontal line right here, you can see how we've broken out of that resistance, but now it's actually becoming support, right? So we're looking for it to turn and kind of push from there. Sorry, gotta go, but we'll watch the rest later. Awesome, man. See you later, Tony. I'm actually going to be wrapping up here in a second as well. I'm going to crank out these 2 short videos and then enjoy the rest of my my Sunday. But so I think Fizz is going to be the ticket. Here's the list. If anyone's interested, I'll just leave this open for a bit so you can kind of take a look at that. This is what I'm watching on Monday, and these are the stocks that the bot has a potential to buy into on Monday. If, you know, everything is right, you know, so for example, the market's not tanking. I've got a something in there saying if the market's down, I think 2 or 3% that day, to just ignore them. If the stocks aren't gapping, so the stocks can't gap, I want to see them somewhere in this range, and then I want to see them push higher. You know, if we gap up here, we gap down here, I'm not interested, type of thing. So this is kind of what the robot's going to be looking at for Monday morning. So just before I go, is there any questions? Did I miss anything here? I know I told one guy that I would answer his question, and then I forgot. And I can't scroll back that far, it doesn't look like. So if there's any questions I missed, let me know. If not, I'm going to shut this down. I'm going to make some videos, enjoy the rest of my Sunday, and then, you know, I'll see you guys in the videos. As always, I got to keep plugging my website. I know it's probably the same, you know, handful of people that are here every day, but I did start a website. I have a website now. I have to figure out what to charge. So think about that as well. Like what I want to do is I want to build a product that you guys think that you're getting, you know, $200-$300 a month worth of value, some sort of, you know, private webinars, alerting service, maybe a private Twitter account, my analysis, something, and then charge like $20 a month for it, right? And then, you know, that's the kind of so that you guys are just getting an insane value, and then I get paid. I want win-wins, right? How much do I ask for a course? I have a free trading course. Let me link this. This is free. This will always be free. I'm actually really proud of this trading course. I taught my wife how to trade while we were locked up in quarantine. First couple lessons, I do admit, looking back now, are kind of rough. They get better as we kind of get more comfortable. And to be honest, when she starts editing the videos instead of me. But that's free. Now I have mentoring. You can contact me about that. That's one-on-one. But again, I want to figure out, I want to give you guys an insane value, and I want money. And I want to just be fully upfront and honest about that. So, is there any filter that finding stocks with low beta? Yeah, you can just go through, and if you open up a new alert, and then you just do beta, right? You can find the beta of the stock. So it's always a ratio. Anything under 1 is considered low beta. Anything over 1 is considered high beta. So yeah, you can use beta like that. Remember, beta has 2 aspects. It has correlation, and it has degree of move. So low beta stocks are either low correlated, or they don't move much, or both. So just keep an eye on those things. But yeah, you can find all beta right here. Quick one for back testing. What kind of profit factor are you looking at? Anything over 1.5 is good. If you find a profit factor over 3, start to be worried, right? Just probably means that something's over curve fitted, or you didn't account for you didn't account for liquidity correctly, you didn't account for slippage or something. So over 1.5 is good. If I start getting above 3, it doesn't necessarily mean it's wrong, but it means I'm going to be skeptical. I'm going to be like, okay, either this is an amazing strategy or I broke something. So again, it doesn't necessarily mean that as well. How's her account doing? She's doing well when she trades. She's just got some stuff going on with her actual work that she's a little more focused on right now. I keep poking every now and then, but she actually was doing great as well. No, I love the first videos with Jess. It's kind of questions newbies like me. I just meant, we were trying to figure out the camera to use and the way to edit them and all of these things. But again, that course is free on my website, and it will always be free. I'm not ever going to lock that behind a paywall. I think because that course, basically what I think that course, everything in that course you could find on the internet if you really want it. But the point of that course was to have not so much any, super secret or advanced stuff. It was to curate all of that information from someone who's been doing it for a long time and teaching it to someone who hasn't been doing it a long time. So don't worry about that ever getting locked up behind a paywall. Again, I just figure there's got to be a way that, there's something that I can give you guys, which will help you guys out on your journeys and make money. And as a trader and a capitalist, I want to make a bunch of money as well. So, the algo on the playlist. Oh yeah. I also have this for my algo trading. I should redo this, shouldn't I? That's another thing I want to do on the channel as well, is I want to go through and find some of the old content that I had a shittier mic and a shittier camera, and I just wasn't as comfortable on, talking about things. And I want to go and I want to expand those out. And wow, I've got a lot of playlists. Algo trading. So yeah, I have this playlist too. That's a good idea. Thanks for that. And there's like 4 videos on here. I could do a better job of this as well, right? Thank you for all the content. Been watching your videos. Followed, subscribed over the weekend. Looking forward to your Vision Stats at Trading Joint. Thanks, man. Appreciate it. I'll figure out something. Again, it's not, it's not like I need it to eat, you know what I mean? But it's one of those that it just, I figure there's a win-win here we got to do. And then again, if you're interested in whatever I figure out, just on every page here, there's this email list. I will not spam you with junk. I'm not going to sell this email list. It's just not going to happen. This is going to be for me to communicate with you guys directly. And it's just on the bottom of all of these pages. So put your name in there. It puts your email in kind of a secure backend that I built. And whenever I figure out what I'm going to do, I'll do that as well. As well as the blog, right? I'm going to start doing some more of this stuff on the blog, and this will be free stuff as well. So, all right, guys, I'm going to take off. It was fun chatting. I'm going to record these videos, so you'll see those up on the channel in a bit. I'll tweet them out when I'm done. And, I like live streaming, so I'm going to be doing more of this. I just got to figure out times and all that. So have a good weekend. And